There are 5 young NFL quarterbacks that are entering really important moments in their NFL careers where these are 5 guys who have not had perfect starts to their NFL careers at all, but they do also have an opportunity this fall in 2021 to turn things around. And what's interesting is that the way they go about that is all very, very different. They all need to do different things in order to prove themselves and prove what they can do. So I got to say, before I start this list, I want to be very clear about one thing here. Circumstance and situation can make or break a young quarterback. A bad coach or a bad team can ruin your career. And there are so many factors outside of a young quarterback's control that really, really impact how successful they are. Ideally, every quarterback has a team that drafts them and builds around them and gets players who complement their skill set and design plays to fit what they do best and have good coaching. And hopefully, ideally, every quarterback gets time to develop and figure stuff out and his patience and all kinds of stuff like that. But young quarterbacks often do not get that. And, it's also a bit weird. Many times, young quarterbacks do not get a second opportunity. I mean, a high draft pick with a ton of talent who gets talked up a bunch for months and months, and you hear analysts and teams talk about how much they love this guy. But after the initial shine kind of wears off, that new draft pick smell goes away. And hey, that's not a thing. I hope not. Is it cologne? But you know what I mean? Like, you draft a guy, you're excited about him for a brief period, and once that goes away, a guy can end up being, 26 or 27, and then they're viewed as a backup forever because they got their shot and it didn't work, even though the team was bad and the coach was awful, whatever. It's rare that guys get a second opportunity. And nobody's going to build around it's very interesting. You notice, like, players play till they're 40 now at the quarterback position regularly. But nobody's going to build around a 27-year-old quarterback. I mean, no one's going to build around Ryan Fitzpatrick either at 38, but that's an extreme example. But not only do we not build around quarterbacks after their first attempt after being drafted, we often don't even try to help them succeed. It's very interesting. Like, you get one specialized opportunity with patience and a team that's going to be giving you a bunch of opportunities like Mitchell Trubisky did with Chicago. And that's it. After that one opportunity, you're done. And sometimes all it really takes for a quarterback to succeed is to have the team believe in them, get players that fit them, and a coaching staff that wants them and works with them. But often young quarterbacks don't even get that. And it's kind of silly. It's kind of a waste. But it's still also the truth. So with that being said, here is a list of young NFL quarterbacks with something to prove in 2021. Number 1 is Sam Darnold. He is the definition of a guy who did not get supported as a young NFL quarterback. It's unbelievable. By the way, he was drafted incredibly young. He's only 23 years old. On June 5th, he will turn 24, which is the same age Baker Mayfield was when he got drafted number 1 overall in 2018. Now, the Jets drafted Sam Darnold, number 3 overall in 2018, and oh my goodness, it was all downhill from there. Sam had horrible coaching. He had practically no help in New York. And as a result of what was around him, Sam Darnold really, really struggled as the Jets starting quarterback. But then, a gift from God, he was traded from New York to the Carolina Panthers this offseason. And going from a horrible situation to, he's really going from an awful, awful mess to maybe one of the best teams and organizations in all of the NFL. It's phenomenal. The Panthers have a good owner. He's got a good head coach, Matt Rule. He's got this awesome offensive coordinator, Joe Brady, who helped develop, Joe Burrow in college at LSU from a nobody to the number 1 overall pick. So Sam Darnold is not only getting a second chance, he's going to a phenomenal organization that's going to support him. And, he's going to finally get a legitimate chance to prove how good he is as an NFL quarterback. And I'm rooting for him, man. I can't wait. He's going to have good players around him, good coaching, some structure, hopefully people that believe in him. And by the way, I want to say this because it's really important. Go watch Sam Darnold play. Don't just listen to what he is. Don't read his statistics or stuff like that. If you watch Sam Darnold play, Oh my goodness. There are so many moments where, by the way, his ability to extend plays outside the pocket are phenomenal. I watched Sam Darnold play at USC. I was watching film of Sam Darnold at USC actually, gosh, a week ago maybe. He made some throws that take such incredible, I think, creativity even to go, I'm on the run. If I step up, make this guy miss, and throw the ball up high and outside along the sideline, I can fit it over the defender in a tight window to my guy. Like, he has such a vision for throws in a tight windows that I think are often inexplicable. He's got a really, really good feel for the game. I think Sam Darnold's ability to run around and make plays outside the pocket is crazy underrated. And I really believe in Sam Darnold. I hope it works. But it's going to be cool to see what he does with a second chance in the NFL in Carolina. Quarterback number 2 is Tua Tagovailoa. He was drafted by the Miami Dolphins, number 5 overall in the 2020 NFL Draft. His rookie year last year was rough. Miami went back and forth between Tua and Ryan Fitzpatrick. They appeared to take Tua out in some big moments at the end of games. And Tua has admitted even recently that, he did not know the playbook as well as he would have liked. And honestly, I think I can forgive it, actually. He was a rookie dealing with a crazy offseason, and he also wasn't a rookie where, for example, the Bengals had a rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. They knew what they were doing. They could go at whatever pace was best for Joe Burrow, where Tua stepped in, Ryan Fitzpatrick was already there. Tua had to catch up from day one. And Miami didn't slow down at all for Tua. Now, he's had this year a whole offseason to prepare this time and get comfortable. So I've heard that this year, Tua's doing better than he did last year based on just having more time, more preparation, more comfort with the system. But last year, watching Miami, I felt like they needed another big playmaker. They went out, they got that. They drafted a receiver, Jalen Waddle. But the pressure is on for Tua this year. Like, Tua has to do better, has to deliver, has to show that he was worthy of that number 5 overall pick and that he can become the franchise quarterback they hope he will be. So Tua has to take a step forward this year. He has to prove himself. And if he doesn't, Tua is going to get replaced. That's just a fact. Now, I am biased. I love Tua as a person. I'm a big fan of him. I only own one NFL jersey. It is, in fact, a Tua Tagovailoa jersey. But I have confidence in the guy. I mean, again, crazy offseason. I think, not a lot of weapons there. And remember, Peyton Manning had a really, really rough rookie year. So I've got nothing but patience. And I think Tua, while he has to get it done this year, I think there's a high probability Tua does very, very well this fall in 2021. Number 3 is the Broncos quarterback, Drew Lock. I've been really, really hard on Drew Lock. A report came out that said he struggled with the playbook last year. My initial reaction when I heard that was, oh no, this is not good. He's holding back the Denver offense. But as I've had time to think about it and digest, I've gone, okay, maybe I was a bit too harsh initially, where Drew Lock had to learn a new offense. He had to deal with basically no offseason due to COVID. I mean, Zoom meetings, it depends on what kind of person you are. If your learning style is not conducive to Zoom, it's over for you. Like, Zoom was all it was last year, and if you don't deal with that very well, you're screwed. It's hard to ask questions, hard to talk through stuff. Or if your coach even is just a bit, difficult with technology, that can also be a huge gap in communication. And so I realized if I have patience for Tua this year after, I'm talking about COVID in the offseason, I probably also need to have patience for Drew Lock, the Broncos' young quarterback, because otherwise it's a really bad double standard, and I don't want to have that. I don't want to be that kind of guy. And so, 2 years ago, Drew Lock had a really, really promising rookie year. Now, Denver does have a new quarterback, Teddy Bridgewater. And also, who knows if Denver does end up trading for Aaron Rodgers? We have no idea. But 2021 is a big year for Drew Lock. Whether he becomes the starting quarterback or is a backup, he's got to prove his worth. And if he doesn't either show that he's a franchise quarterback or that he could eventually become a franchise quarterback down the road, then Denver's going to have to draft a new quarterback. Because there's a lot of really high-level upcoming college quarterbacks entering the NFL draft next year. And Drew has to deliver and show he's worth keeping around and worth investing in in Denver. Drew Lock's job is in danger. And if he's the guy, then he needs to show it this year in Denver. My number 4 quarterback is Dwayne Haskins. He was drafted by Washington in the first round of the 2019 NFL Draft, 15th overall. Barely a year later, though, he got cut. Mid-season, by the way, which is almost unheard of for a first-round quarterback. To be almost a year later, mid-season, get cut. He had problems off the field. He kept violating COVID protocol. He was also awful on the field. He looked lost. It's very possible he didn't know the new playbook very, very well. But a common theme, I guess with all young quarterbacks, is that learning a new playbook last year during COVID was really, really hard over Zoom, stuff like that. But Dwayne also, aside from decision-making and that kind of stuff, on and off the field, I guess, he also really struggled with accuracy. He didn't look like a former first-round pick at all. He just looked like a mess in every way conceivable. However, the Pittsburgh Steelers have given Dwayne Haskins a second opportunity. He got a 1-year deal. And the good news is Dwayne Haskins will not even be competing for the starting quarterback job this fall. Ben Roethlisberger is the Steelers' starting quarterback. He's been there since 2004. He's the longtime established quarterback in Denver. So this fall, what Dwayne Haskins needs to do is show the Steelers that he's worth keeping around. That, there are some maturity concerns off the field. He's got to squash all those. He needs to have a good preseason and show that, hey, I've got potential. I'm worth keeping around. And I think in 2021, the best scenario, kind of the best case scenario that could happen for Dwayne Haskins is that he shows, hey, I'm mature. I'm worth keeping around. He gets a new contract. And he gives Pittsburgh hope that he could become the next franchise quarterback once Big Ben is done and moves on and is retired. Pretty likely and almost guaranteed after this year, Big Ben is going to retire. Now, it feels like a long shot. I'm not optimistic that Dwayne Haskins is going to figure it out. Again, maturity is a big deal. Inaccuracy, all kinds of stuff. But it would be very, very cool if Dwayne Haskins, a former first-round quarterback, in the act of changing teams and getting a fresh start, if that made a big difference for Dwayne Haskins, I'd be very, very happy. My number 5 quarterback who needs to have a big year in 2021 is Giants quarterback Daniel Jones. I'll put it this way. If Daniel Jones doesn't look really good this fall, the Giants need to replace him. I can forgive 2020. You had COVID. You had a new offense. COVID made things crazy. Totally fine. Whatever. Last year, Saquon Barkley got hurt. Forget it. Whatever. But this year for Daniel Jones, it's year 2 in the same offensive system. Running back Saquon Barkley's back from injury. The Giants have a new offensive weapon, Kenny Golladay at receiver. They also still have Sterling Shepard and Darius Slayton. They have the tight end, Evan Engram. It is time for Daniel Jones to deliver. He's got to play well this fall. There are no more reasons to make an excuse in New York. Nope. He's not a rookie. He had a full offseason. It's year 3. The Giants have some decent players around him. There are going to be a number of really, really good quarterbacks available in the 2022 NFL Draft. And if Daniel Jones does not have a good year this fall, he's going to get replaced.